Hi guys, welcome back to Pride Parkway. Something a little bit different today, and hopefully a nice quick video for you as well. I'm working on the scenic area of the layout, and as part of that I need some tunnel portals, some retaining walls, and I need them to be in a buff stone colour. Now you might call it something different than buff, but I call it buff, and it's based on the northeast, which is where my layout's loosely based. And if I just bring the iPad in front of you, you can see here Durham Viaduct, and this is the kind of look that I'm going for. Another picture that I've got here is of another viaduct, and this is what my river scene's going to be based on. And if you see there, it's more of a what I call a buff colour. And you see lots of tutorials and videos on YouTube of people making grey stone, but it's not what I want. I don't want grey, and I struggle to find anything, so I'm going to show you the way I do it. It's not necessarily the only way or the right way, but it's my way and it works for me. So what I need to do today is do a mixture of the scratch build wall, and also I'm just going to use some out of the packet products as well. So the first one that I have is this Pico N-gauge line side kit. This is the MB32 double track tunnel mouths and retaining walls, so I've got a brand new one of them. And I've also got off my old layout these, which were grey stone that was used on the last layout, and these can just be sprayed up and reused again. The other thing I've got is some of this ratio 239 retaining wall. Just move the camera up a little bit, there we go. And this, I originally bought a couple of packets of this to use through the station area, but then discovered it wasn't big enough. So I'm going to repurpose it over on the scenic side of the layout. So I've got some of this out of the packet already. And then the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some retaining walls along the lines of how I did the station walls, and I'll put a picture in now so you can see what the station walls look like, just as a reminder. So this is all going to need to be painted and built. Now for the ready-made stuff, it's really simple. I create a board because I'm in the loft and I can't spray paint up here, and all this is a piece of grey board. You can see it's covered in paint because it's been used multiple times, and then I put some just cheapo pound shop masking tape, and I just put a few lengths of that out to secure it down at either end. And then what that means is I can take the products, so for example these tunnel portals, and just push them down onto the masking tape like that, and that then means that I can go outside and spray paint these nice and easy. They're stuck down, they're not going to go anywhere, and that's simple job to be done. Now the other job is the scratch build, and I'm going to move the camera and show you how I do that. So I've moved the camera over to the scenic area, and you can see here the start of a road, just a piece of foam board to give me a nice smooth surface to work on for the road. We've got the two fast lines just in front of us here and up here where the Mark 4s are. This is an N-Scenic, a laser cut card bridge, and I put that in as laying the track, painted it green, and just kind of left that as it is. Now it needs a load of weathering and things like that doing to it, but that will happen in due course. And what I do need is some retaining walls to go under here, kind of to support this bridge. So I'm going to scratch build these, and basically the first thing I do is get some 2mm grey board. I use 2mm just because it's a little bit more structurally sound, and using the grey board I need to cut it to size and create the shapes that I want. Once I've got the shape that I want, I'm then going to mount onto that some Slater's plastic card, and I've got some dress stone, 2mm dress stone, and that's what I'm going to use. So this needs cutting down and so on, so let me get this to shape. You don't need to see how I cut it, it's just with a craft knife and a metal rule, and once I've got the basic shape I'll show you what's next. That's the first piece of grey board cut, so it's 4.5cm high, and it just fits under the bridge perfectly in there. Now what I've done is I've made this longer than I want it to be, and I'm lining it up on the back edge, because back here there's going to be a road. It's quite hard for you to see because it's white at the moment, that comes from this road up here to where there's going to be a farm. So that can be a nice sharp edge, but on this end I want it to taper off, and I'm also going to want it to be a little bit thicker than just one piece of grey board. This here will have an embankment in it, a rocky embankment. So what I've done is I took a pencil and I'm just going to mark here, so I know where the end of the bridge is and where I want it to come out to, and I'm thinking probably about there. There's no signs to this. Now all I'm going to do is just cut this out to get the shape that I want it to be, and then I'm going to attach another piece of grey board behind it in the same shape, just to make this a little bit thicker than it currently is. So I'll do that and then we'll see what's next. So I've cut out a piece of grey board and I've cut on the angle at this end like I said I was going to, and if I just position that where the wall's going to be, you can see there the shape that I've gone for. This is obviously where the embankment is at this side. Now this is 2mm grey board, so 2mm the foot in end gauge, so that's going to be a foot thick. The wall obviously wants to be much thicker, so I've cut out 2 other pieces of cardboard grey board that are exactly the same size, and I'm throwing them around. That's it, like that, and they will be glued onto there just to make this thicker. The other thing that the wall's going to need, so if I just show you how I'm going to just rocket card glue that on, so that you've then got it looks like it's a nice thick wall. The thing I'm going to need is some strengtheners on the wall as well, so I've marked them up using a ruler. I just marked the middle. These are going to be 5mm each, and just make sure they're nice and straight, so make sure you're using the tool, I can't remember what these are called, set square, so that you know your lines are going to be perfectly straight when you're drawing them on there as well. And I'm going to use the same 2mm grey board, and I'm going to do double thickness and then cutting out and gluing onto there. So let me get that done. I'll get this all fastened together with rocket card glue, and I'm going to make the one that's to go the walls to go on the other side as well, and then I'll come back to you and show you the next. That's the walls made, so this one is going to be going on that side, and this one here will be for this side. Now let me move that away so it focuses. Now one thing that might not have been very clear in the last clip is what I've actually done. If we take this one for example, the abutments are on the front, on the scenic side, these 3, however this one are glued to the back, and that is so that when I put this in place on the wall, so if I slide that in, this part here actually will sit flush against the foam, and therefore it'll stop it from sliding too far back, but it'll give the sense that this wall's much thicker than actually it is, because that's the thickness, but when you're looking at it from the end, it looks like it's that thick. Now I could have made it that thick, but I just would have wasted a load of cardboard. So put that in place, and then for the one that's going to be on this side, I've done exactly the same. Double thickness, double thickness, double thickness, and then this end one's double thickness, but one's on the front and one's on the back, and that therefore means that from looking at the side, it'll look like the wall's much thicker than it is. And again, once I put it into place, this bit on the back will just stop there to make that wall look nice and thick. Now this is going to have stone clad along this area here, stone rock work. Now if I just bring the camera down, you'll be able to see what that looks like from under the bridge. You look at the wall. Quite hard to do an engage. You have to remember how small everything is, but you get the idea there of, let me see if I can get a better angle. Sorry if it's making you feel dizzy, the camera moving around, but you get an idea of what the wall looks like under there. Now I've used rocket card glue. It dries pretty quickly, so we'll leave that to dry while I go and grab a bite to eat. And then the thing I need to do once that's dry is just file all these edges where I've sandwiched multiple pieces of card together, and that's just to make sure that they end up being nice and smooth. So I have these little things, these files that I got in a pack of 3. I got them at a train fair, and I think it was Squires I got them off. And all I'm going to do is just use these, and I'll just, once the glue's dry, just rub the ends just to sand them down and make them nice and smooth. And then we need to mark out and cut out some plastic cards to fit on these. Now I know my measurements. I've made the gap here 6.5 centimeters. 6.5 centimeters, that's half a centimeter, so it should be quite easy, 4.5 centimeters, to work out the pieces that I need and get them all cut out. But first of all, it's really important that all these edges are flush, so I'm just going to sand like there, there. So let me get all that done. You don't need to watch me doing that, and then I'll show you me putting the plastic card on. So all I'm doing is cutting out pieces of plastic card to be the right size, and then all we're going to do is glue them in place. So I'll do the 3 flat surfaces first, then we need to do all of the sides. So I'm going to cut a piece out to fit on that side there, and there, and then turn it around and do the same again. So on this side here, that side there, that side there, that side there, and then finally a piece on the top all the way down. Keep doing that until you basically end up with that. So it's completely covered, no matter which way you look at it, in plastic card. The only bit that isn't is the top edge, and we'll come back and do that once we get this other piece completely covered in plastic card. So I'm going to crack on, get this other piece done, and then I'll come back to you in a second. So with all the grey board covered in plastic card, I've put the 2 pieces in place just to make sure that they fit okay. And the next job is we need some capping stones to go along these top areas. The easiest way I find to do that is obviously underneath the bridge. We don't need any because you're not going to be able to see that. So I put them in place, just got a pen such as a Sharpie or whatever, and I'm just going to mark the top of the cardboard just where I'm going to need capping stones on both sides. And then we'll make them capping stones out of some grey board. I'm also looking at this and thinking I need something else here to support the rest of this bridge, so I'm going to create another small piece to go in here as well now. So yeah, I'll get that done. And to make the capping stones, all I'm going to use is some 1/2 mil thick on this side, and on this big piece here I'm going to use some 1 mil thick, just plain plastic card. And all I'm going to do is I'll cut a piece that's the whole size of that, and then I'll just score it across, maybe every, on this one I'll probably do every 10 mil, and on this side I'll score it every 5 mil. A slightly bigger one to go on the top of here, and the same at the back there and there. And we'll get them glued on. It'll just be white plastic card, that's absolutely fine. It'll get painted once we paint the rest of it. So let's head over to the workbench and get that done. So we're over on the workbench, and I've done the capping stones on this one to start with, and I'm going to show you how I've done that on this one here. Now remember, this is the front of the bridge here, and you can see there where I marked it with a pen, and that's where it needs to have capping stones. The capping stones glued at each end, and I just need to make sure that that is in the middle, so you've got overhang right the way around on all 4 sides. And then I've now got a 1/2 mil strip just here, use that glue to hold that up, and that strip is going to sit in there like that. But what we need to do first is to score it all the way along, and to do that all I'm going to use is the craft knife. And you don't want to go all the way through, this is only 1/2 mil, and if you go all the way through, you're going to cut it. You don't want to cut it, you just want to score it. So I'm going to go every 1/2 centimeter or 5 mils. I'm going to do a score, score it really gently, and then I'm going to bend them so that it opens up the ridges. And that's what I've done on this one. I've already done. I'm not sure how well the camera's going to pick that up, but there is little lines scored in every 5 mil all the way along there. And when it comes to painting it, the washers will run into them and they'll represent capping stones. So let me get the other one done and then we'll come back. All done. So we've got the scores in all the way along and glued on that end, and that end, remember that middle bit is going to be hidden under the bridge. The light's hopefully picking up the scores at this end quite well down here. But what I need to do now is just to make sure that they're hanging over, which they are. You can see there you want a little bit of that hanging over, and make sure it's straight, which it is. So the next job is painting. We've got the tunnel mouths, the retaining walls for the tunnel mouths, we've got the pre-bought retaining wall, and then we've got the pieces of my made retaining wall here as well, just on some grey board, old grey board that I used to spray paint. I'm going to blast it all to start with this. This is plastic coat primer. It's just a grey primer. I get it on Amazon, it's nice and cheap. Blast the whole lot with that. Once that's dry, I'm then going to blast it all with Humbrol acrylic spray, and it's Desert Tan 237, and that's a matte acrylic spray, and you can see the colour of it here. So instantly we're going to go from grey plastic or plastic and white plastic over there, we're going to go to grey, and then we're going to go much closer to the buff colour that we talked about again. So it's Desert Tan 237. I'm going to get these primed, and I'm then going to get them hit up with this paint as well, and then I'm going to leave them overnight and come back to them tomorrow and get them finished in the morning. So I will see you once these are painted. Right, so it's the next day, everything's nice and dry. I've just test fit the walls in place under the bridge here just to make sure they fit, they're not glued or anything. I've took a photo because it's a little bit easier to show you than it is trying to get it on the camera, so that should be on the screen now. And just over here we have all the other pieces painted and ready for the next step. And the next step is to add some detail to this. Now I've hit this twice with the Humbrol number 237 Desert Tan paint, and I've hit the quite lightly because I want the odd little bit of grey to show through, not a huge amount, just a little bit. It just helps with the texture and the tone. And the next job, and this one is a real pain in the bum, because bear in mind this is N-gauge and it's tiny, is you need to pick out some of the stone details, so both on these walls, on the bridge, and also all this still on my card. And there's no right or wrong colours. If you look at natural stone, you'll see there's all different shades and textures and so on in there. So I just have a rummage round on my paint section, and I've pulled out a grey paint. What's this one? Sky grey. I've got a khaki drab. I've got a Humbrol brick. I've got a rail match concrete. I've got a Vallejo stone grey. So all I'm going to do is just take these off, and I do this under my magnifying glass. I've got one of those lights that's also a magnifying glass, and it's just a case of with a tiny brush sitting and picking out individual stones in different shades. And all I'll do is I'll pick one colour and I'll do all the bits, and then I'll pick another colour and do all the bits, and then pick another colour, and you just want them in random places. That's everything got the dots of different colours on. Now it looks quite harsh at the moment, so don't panic, don't be like, oh my god, what have you done, because this does work. What you now need to do is bring all the colours together and to really tone it down, because it's still far too light. So what I've got here in this pot is a combination of a little bit of Humbrol Black Green 91, that's acrylic, and just some artist acrylic black cheap paint, put into here with a load of water and just mix together. I've then got a relatively flat soft brush. Now this will go very black all of a sudden, so try not to panic. It's take the brush and then just rub along with the black wash, and you just want to work that in to all the grooves right the way around. Don't worry about the water running, you want it to run. You want it to run down because that's the way natural weathering would run. And just go around it. Get plenty on. You want this everywhere, along the tops, the sides. What will happen very, very quickly is it will be transformed again from this to this. get it on camera. So from the one on the right to the one on the left, it instantly looks different. Now this is going to need more work than this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand it up so that the wash runs down it. I put on a bit of kitchen paper just leaning up a can and just leave it like that to dry, and then I'll have a look and probably give it a second coat, and then we'll add some extra weathering after that. This has all now had 2 coats of the wash, and you can see it's just instantly transformed what the stone looked like and brought all them colours together really well. Looks much better now than it did. It's just a lighter colour. So the next job is to, and actually what I should say is you can give this as many coats of wash as you want. It'll just get a little bit darker on each wash, and when you're making your wash, make it a little bit weaker than you think you want it to be and add more paint. You can't really take the paint away, so start off maybe with 1 part paint and 9 parts water. That's just very rough. I don't actually measure it out, but then try a little bit, and if it's too light, add a little bit more paint or just give it more coats. It's an acrylic wash, so it dries really quickly. The next job for these is to hit them up with a little bit of white dry brushing to bring out a little bit of salt on them, and also to hit it with the Humbrol weathering powder. You can use any weathering powder you want. I have the Humbrol one, and that's why I use it. Now I've just been playing around with one off camera and one of the tunnel mouths, and this one has now had the weathering powder and the white, and this one hasn't. So you can see there where some of the white salt and effects come out. I've just highlighted all these kind of shadowy, dirty areas, and also some marks in the tunnels from where diesel or back steam, coal dust, that kind of thing will be. Now it actually looks much darker on the camera than it does in real life, which is interesting. But I'm going to hit up the rest of these, and then once these have all got a little bit of dry brushing on of the white and the weathering powder, then I'm going to take them outside and give them all a spray with some matte varnish, and that'll just help fix the weathering powder into place and hold everything together. So let me get that done. That's it. It's all had 2 coats of the varnish, and I just used the Humbrol acrylic varnish. I find it works absolutely fine on plastic models, but I never use it on paper models because they're, things like Metcalf kits, I tend to find it leaves a bit of a white mark on them. Top tip, shake it really well, and I just hold the can and warm it up a little bit before I use it as well, and it works fine. So now when I touch this, I don't get any of the weathering powders coming off. So let's just fasten this wall in place so that you can see it, and then we'll leave the video there. So we've got this piece that we made to go over here, so if I get that into the right position, just like that, and then we had this small piece which was to go on that side like that, and then we have this longer piece which is going to be under there, just like that. And then let me move the camera and I'll show you it in position. So there it is. It's a nice low angle for you to see it all in place there. Try and move the camera in a little bit so you can get a better view of it. But I'm really happy with that. I'm pleased with how that's looking. Get the other side in there for you as well. So I'm going to leave this video there. I've got a whole load more scenic work to do. I'm actually in the process of recording the next 2 videos at the same time as doing this one, because it all ties in together, but we'll make 2 longer videos in one. So this one was getting the stonework in place. The next video we're going to get the basic landscapes in with the plaster cloth and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll also have a 3rd video which will be getting the rock working, because there's quite a lot of rock work to go in this area. So So thank you as always for your support. If you're new here, please do hit that subscribe button and join me on this journey of me building my Engaged Loft layout. Thank you as always for the comments, the kind words. If you've got any ideas, anything you think I should be doing, please let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you in probably just a few days time with the next video and the next update. Thanks guys, take care, bye bye.